Hello, Poke people, and welcome back to Classic Trading Cards. Thanks for tuning in. This video is just going to be an update as to what I've been buying the past month or so and my strategy moving forward through March and the next couple months. Essentially, what I do in order to keep track of all my purchases is keep everything in a good old-fashioned notebook. I will write down what product I bought, what the price was, and then the date that I bought it on. And then I also keep a running total of all of my investment portfolio, like the cost basis itself. Eventually, I'll transfer all this over to a Google Doc or like an Excel spreadsheet. But for right now, the notebook works. I've made quite a few purchases over the past month and a half. I just wanted to give you guys the highlights. So I ended up buying a Silver Tempest booster box. I think Silver Tempest is a little undervalued right now. The chase card is probably one of the best Lugias that Pokemon's ever made, and it's just a beautiful card. I definitely wouldn't mind having that in my personal collection at some point. However, the booster box is good for now. I also have quite a few of the sleeve boosters. Right now this box is going for the like 460, 475 range. Wouldn't be surprised if this starts pushing $500 relatively shortly. So if you can find, a good deal locally on some Silver Tempest, or even at this price, honestly, on TCG, I think it's a little bit undervalued at the current moment. Speaking of Sword and Shield, I bought 3 Brilliant Stars booster boxes over the past month. I paid $500 for 2 of them and $550 for another one. They're all really minty, in really good shape. I think Brilliant Stars was undervalued and just kind of overlooked for the longest time. Now people are, putting in that like 4th place spot usually in Sword and Shield tier list. I think this set's going to do really well long term. I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit like the $600 range. I'm pretty sure we've already seen a couple sales at the $600, or right underneath it. So this could actually start pumping pretty well. I would say maybe even 650, 625 in the relatively short term. Also bought a couple Crown Zenith ETBs around the $200 price range. They've already gone up $100 since I bought them. This is going to be a long-term hold. People love opening this set, and the more people that open it on rip and ships or go after chase cards for themselves, it's going to increase the value of this box over time. We're already seeing, a decent amount of sales over the $300 price range, and I don't see this really going down anytime soon. I think you're protected on the low end pretty well if you invest in Crown Zenith. Another purchase I made was a Surging Sparks booster box. I just happened to get a really good deal on it locally, so I picked up a Surging Sparks for $200. As far as current deals go in the market and things you should be looking for, I think if you're going to put some money into Surging Sparks, it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's a pretty good set, to be honest, and the booster boxes themselves can be had at a decent price, especially if you're looking locally. You could maybe find some of these boxes around that $220, $230 price range if you're doing your due diligence and trying to work deals with people, hitting vending machines, all that good stuff. Also bought quite a few 151 bundles at $100. 151 has gone parabolic recently. I think it's a really good collector set. I'm not a huge fan of the Charizard personally. However, the Venusaur and the Alakazam to me are like the standout cards, which are, all the singles are going up like crazy recently. This is going to be a $200 booster bundle within the next 2 months probably, or I say 2 months, but it's probably going to be 2 weeks. I mean, people are really going crazy for this set. Might see it start to slow down at that price range, but long term 151 is going to do really well. I also picked up, let's see, 2 ETBs of 151. I got a pretty good deal on these. One of them I purchased for I think it was $260, and then the other one I ended up paying like $340. These are just kind of ones I wanted in my collection. However, long term, obviously 151 is still going to continue to do well. These are pushing $600 right now. A couple sales right at that $600 mark. I wouldn't be surprised to see these start climbing over that, pretty soon. If you don't already have 151, I would probably look elsewhere for the time being and try and find some deals on other stuff, because, with everyone hyper focused on these sets that are going out of print, that leaves decent buying opportunities on other sets like Ascended Heroes and some of the Sword and Shield boxes. I picked up 5 Great Tusk boxes. I ended up paying $125 for these. If I would have been a little quicker to pull the trigger, I could have probably gotten these for around the $100, $110 price range. These are already pushing $200. Another set that's going out of print soon, Paldean Fates. It's got the Bubble Mew in there. Another set that long term is going to do really well. Picked up quite a few bundles also. Someone is selling 10 of them in an unsealed booster box display. I got these at $100 a piece. For a little bit, these were actually outpricing and doing better than the 151 bundles. However, 151 has essentially skyrocketed, and Paldean Fates has, it's gone up steadily over the past 3 months. But 151 overtook it as far as, just the general price goes. I think it's a little bit better of a set, but Paldean Fates also a really good set. These are going for $130 all day. I think you might be able to find some of these locally. Even if you can find the booster bundle displays, it would not be a bad investment. I've been really focusing on Prismatic Evolution bundles as well. The Sam's Club boxes that I've been buying, like the bundle with the surprise box and the booster bundle display in there, or the booster bundle rather, I'm buying these locally for $70. And that's kind of my price range on that. Eventually I'll have to increase my price a little bit on those, so I'm just keeping everything sealed together. I'm not separating the bundles or anything, but if people have booster bundles just solo by themselves, I'm also buying those at around $60, $65. These are gonna go the way of Paldean Fates and 151 eventually. By the end of the year, these are gonna be $100. I'm a firm believer in that. Pokemon has way too many sets right now to focus on printing to where they're gonna, continue to print Prismatic over and over. They already did that. Now they have to kind of move on, in my opinion, and the price is just going to steadily increase. Prismatic, obviously one of the best sets of the modern era. Personally, I think Ascended Heroes is a better set. However, Prismatic does, hold that top spot as far as sets that are being ripped. So, the more product that gets ripped through, the better the price is going to be long term on these. I know a lot of people are holding Prismatic, and it's a good place to focus right now, since a lot of the focus is on 151 and in these sets that are going out of print. You can probably find these locally for that $60 to $70 price range. I think it's a good buy, especially if you have time to hold. That's going to be a good long-term play. Bundles also, while we're on the subject, clearly, bundles don't take up a lot of space, so that also bodes well for investors who are willing to hold things long term. If it doesn't take up a lot of space and the price is relatively cheap, the set's good, no brainer. Pick them up. Picked up 4 of these Mega Charizard UPCs. I think, around the $200 price range. These are gonna maybe stagnate for a little bit. However, you might be able to find some deals locally on these. They're already pushing that $200 price range, so I guess we'll see where it goes from here. This was a screaming buy for a little while. I mean, the amount of packs that you get in here and the promos, it's just kind of is a no-brainer play. I wouldn't quite say you missed the boat on these though, and there still is opportunity to find these maybe around that 150 to 160 price range locally. Might want to go ahead and pick up some if you have the capital. Also, I think a screaming buy right now is Ascended Heroes. The ETBs, the regular ETBs, have gone steadily down since release, around 30%, that 30% price range, to were right at the $100. And to me, this is reminiscent of the price action with Prismatic when they started printing the hell out of the ETBs. These started around 140 or something around first release. Same with Ascended Heroes. And then you see it, go down to that $100 price range over time. Now these have reached that point quicker, I believe, and I was a little slow to pull the trigger on a lot of my Prismatic ETBs when they did hit $100. There's a lot of people speculating that it might go to MSRP. So I didn't go in as heavy as I would have liked on Prismatic. I do have, quite a bit of product from that set. However, the amount of ETBs I could have would be maybe doubled at this point if I had actually had, the courage to buy at that $100 price range, buy more of them. I'm not going to make the same mistake with Ascended Heroes. Not only do I think that it's just a good value overall, but I think it's a better set. So long term, I will not mind having these in my collection. Right now, I have 12 regular ETBs and 6 Pokemon Center ones. My average price is around $83 on the ETBs, the regular ones, and as far as the Pokemon Center one goes, my average price is $185. I bought one just last night for $240. I wasn't sure if he was just a little behind on his pricing or if he, just wanted to break even essentially, but I got one for $240 just last night. And then last week, someone was really hurting for cash. I think they broke their phone screen or something, and he was trying to get rid of Pokemon Center ETB for $185. Essentially, I had just gotten home from grocery shopping and I told my wife, hey, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I know I just got home, but there's a deal I have to go make. And she understands, when there's products like that at that sort of price range, they don't last long. So if you can be the first person to respond or to message someone when they're, desperate for cash, that can really bode well. So, if you're willing to drive a little bit and go meet up with people, it might be uncomfortable for some, but for me, it's where I've seen a lot of my discounts happening, especially versus like online prices. If I do see a really good product or an undervalued set online, I will make the occasional purchase, but I would say 90% of my inventory has been acquired through Marketplace. It's tough to find stuff in store unless you have a ton of time on your hand and can find out the routine of someone who's stocking your shelves and just kind of camp. But I don't have that much time. If I happen to have that day off, I'll go and check it out around the time I think they're going to be stocking shelves. But at this point, 6 months ago, I was probably the only one that really had the stocking dialed in, and then now when I go around that same time frame, there's like 5 or 6 people already waiting. So I live in a town where we're just big enough to have a Walmart essentially, and even the locals have caught on to trying to get Pokemon at good prices. There's been a few Alakazam 151 products released. The Alakazam 151 box, I think it comes with 4 packs and a promo. Those get grabbed before I even get a chance to get to the shelves anymore. I did get lucky and get a few of the regular ETBs for MSRP, but the rest of them I've bought at 85 or 90. I think that's fair. If you can get a $10 discount off of what the regular ETBs are doing online, I recommend going in on these and being comfortable with the fact that you might have to hold these long term in order to see, a good return. However, if you made the mistake of not purchasing enough Prismatic, or you did purchase a good amount of Prismatic in this price range and you've seen, recently those boxes start to push towards 200, what these really good sets, these really good specialty sets are capable of. And you might want to try and either repeat the process or start new with Ascended Heroes and see an opportunity when it's presenting itself. I already have the information of what Prismatic has done. I already have the price memory built in, and I think this range, this like $85 to $100 price range on these these Ascended Heroes ETBs. It's a screaming buy in my opinion. Could I end up being proven wrong, and could they, print the set into the ground to where we're seeing $70-$75 ETBs? Yes. However, I'm willing to hold these long term, and I'm willing to see the price go down on these even more. I think my focus is not going to be so much on quick returns, because again, I'm a long-term investor. So if I have to see the price on something go down after the fact that I've purchased it, that I'm comfortable with that at this point. I know it's not something that is keeping the lights on in my house and then I have to make a quick buck on or try and flip it. So if the price goes down $10-$15, so be it. I'll probably end up buying more at this point. I have that much conviction in this set to where I think it's going to do so well that I refuse to miss out on this price range with this type of set. So I mean, you look at the top chase cards, it's just kind of obvious that this set is going to do really well. I'd like to just thank everyone for tuning in to my last video. I think we got over 200 views, which for someone who is, just restarting their channel is reassuring, and it's, a positive step in the right direction. So I will try and get some more videos out to you guys. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for checking out that last video. And thanks for tuning into this one. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. And I'll try and get another video out before I have to go back to work here next week. So I am going to have some more time off work coming up, and that's going to allow me to not just do like market updates, but really, get into a little bit of story time and theory crafting, and, possibly talking to some other creators in the space. So anyway, Pokemon is absolutely booming right now. If you want some advice before I sign off, it would be to take profits when you can on some of the sets that you think have appreciated rather quickly, and then hold the rest of it long term. So if you have some vintage stuff or some 151 that you got for a really good price, it would not be a bad idea to take profits on some of that stuff. It's rare that these opportunities come across. So in order for you to be successful in the space, it's really never a bad idea to take profits. If you were to compare it to the stock market or something like that, you have to kind of play both sides of long-term and short-term. If you want to, be sustainable in the space, it's never a bad idea to take profits. People have never lost money that way. What people do lose money on is buying stocks at a really high price and then selling it too soon and not letting it appreciate in value. Well, right now, if you have a good entry price on your 151 or your vintage stuff, it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider selling some of that. Personally, I plan this weekend on going through my inventory and setting aside some stuff that I plan on selling. I'll make a little bit of a video update later this weekend on some of the products that I've chosen. Off the top of my head, I plan on getting rid of some sleeved booster packs and maybe some of the ancillary products that I have kind of taking up space, even though they might be in good sets that I think are going to do well down the road. It doesn't mean I have unlimited space and I can just afford to have all this ancillary stuff sitting around. So I want to try and offload that onto some people who would benefit from it, or are starting their collections, or maybe they're a vendor or something like that and they want to have stuff to sell at their booth. Personally, I'm not vending yet. It's a great idea right now, but I don't have the time to start vending at the moment. So maybe I'll try and reach out to some people that I know that do vend and see if they want some product for their booth. And then really just dial in and focus on Ascended Heroes, I think, is my strategy over the next couple months. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities on regular ETBs, maybe some cases. And then if they do a restock on Pokemon Center for the ETBs, I'm going to try and get some on the dip from that too. Like I said, I missed out a little bit on prismatic as far as this price range goes. I will not make that same mistake twice. Anyway, again, I hope you guys have a really good weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.